another note on the war on drugs that I find really interesting to get your perspective on.
Okay.
I think we overuse the term war,
Well, yes. Yeah. Yes.
and so in some of the rhetoric that we're hearing in terms of police in war, and we've heard over the years in terms of military equipment seeping into our police forces,
Right.
and sort of from your perspective, how do you distinguish a cop
From a
from
soldier.
a soldier?
Okay. That's a level of training, mostly. Level of training and focus of training, right? So, as far as I know, cops have to qualify with their weapons, right? But you don't have the majority of cops going out and requalifying with M4 assault rifles. They probably are requalifying with their service pistols. To address the equipment thing, by the way, that's mostly the federal government trying to just recoup some of the costs on military gear because it's expensive. And it was expensive in the 80s and in the 90s, and a lot of the stuff being used now was made then. And now we're changing stuff over. Like, they're just getting rid of Humvees. We don't want Humvees anymore.
So we're just giving them to Wichita's police force?
Selling them to Wichita's police force.
At a discount, correct?
Yeah. Yeah, obviously. Yeah, because the thing's old and beat up. You can't sell it at full market price. So it's like, we got to get rid of it somehow. Sell it. Just recoup some of the cost on that. That's where the military's coming from on it. The police are like, hey, sometimes people shoot at us, and we want better equipment for getting shot at, right? Also, I think a thing that people need to also remember is that, and I guess this is going to feed back to your question, is that a lot of soldiers get out. They get out of the military, and then what do? Right? We've been at war for how many years now? Right? Openly at war, right?
2001, really.
Yeah. So we're looking at 16 years. All right. So, if your average soldier stays in the Army about 4 years, right? That's 4 generations of soldiers who've come out, like gone in. If we say they started at 18, they go in, they come out, they're freaking, they're 22 years old, right? Now they need a job. What are they going to do, right? Especially if they were combat arms, right? If you're a combat guy like I was, you don't come out with a lot of like marketable skills, right? Do you know anybody in this area who needs an artillery spotter, right? Who needs somebody who knows a bunch about artillery? No. But my combat experience, maybe RPD might want me for their SWAT team.
I'm sure they would.
Right? Maybe. I was a mediocre combatant.
I'm sure they would.
Yeah, they'd be like, you could shoot? All right, we don't have to, right? And that's less money we have to spend training you. Done, right? That was actually one of the things I was thinking about doing when I came back.
RPD?
I was being in the police, but then.
Why didn't you do it?
Well, I was already pretty well done with military organizations or paramilitary organizations.
Do you consider them paramilitary?
Yeah, they have ranks, they have uniforms, they have guns.
Okay.
Paramilitary, right? Some of them wear combat boots. They have body armor, and I don't know if RPD has armored vehicles, but obviously some of the cops have armored vehicles, right?
Yeah, I don't know if they do or not.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of RPD's, but I try to avoid them.
Yeah.
So the big difference between a cop and a soldier, right, is that a soldier is I want to say an offensive tool as opposed to a defensive tool, right? So like, a soldier is used to invade and take land, take space, right? A cop is supposed to be used to have space and have a populace and enforce the law, right? Soldiers aren't really supposed to do that. They're not supposed to enforce laws. They're supposed to kick in doors, shoot guys that are trying to shoot them, go home, be done with it, right? Cops aren't supposed to do that. They stay where they are. They stay where they are for their life. At least, ones who decide to live where they live and work where they live. And then that's what they do, right? And they try to also deter. They also act as a deterrent to criminal efforts. I mean, sure, with counterinsurgency, you could say that soldiers are acting as a deterrent to insurgent activity, which is criminal by nature. But in the end, one day we might get in a shootout with another nation, right? And cops aren't doing it. That's soldiers, right? Cops are going to be here still arresting people for doing drugs or shooting somebody else or getting in bar fights.
So it's so when you look at it, it's the goal.
Yes, the goal changes what the person is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think that A, the military, and B, the police, do you think they're doing good jobs?
I mean, that's difficult. That's a difficult thing to assess, right? Because you have to think of, again, we have to think of the objective and what's happening.
Right.
Okay, so police are meant to deter crime, right? Have you ever thought to yourself, I could steal X, Y, or Z, but then I am likely to have a negative interaction with police?
Yeah.
Then the police have done their job. Right. Now, there's other things that the police could be doing that are bad, like just shooting people for no reason.
Sure.
Right, and that's not good, right? But then on top of that, that still ends up accomplishing the objective elsewhere, right? Because now they're still acting as a deterrent to further crime.
Because they are, because there is this sort of like looming threat.
Yes. Now, this is wrong and this is bad, right? That's not good, right? You should not necessarily, like earlier I said, I try to avoid RPD, right? I shouldn't necessarily be trying to avoid them, right? Like I should be trying to avoid negative interaction with them.
Sure.
Right? I shouldn't think to myself, oh man, that's a cop. If I go over there, I might die.
Yeah.
I should be thinking, oh, that's a cop. If somebody is trying to murder me over here, it's a good thing he's over there. He or she.
Well, all right. So, but the thing is, like, we have to look at it in terms of reality, right?
Yes.
We're both relatively big black guys.
Yeah.
And when you look around about how the country and how police have historically interacted with us,
yes,
it's not, you're going to be on edge.
Right. Yes. And that's not good.
Yeah, it's definitely not good.
That's very bad, right? So if we go back to your question, do I think the cops are doing their job? I think the cops are doing their jobs. Do I think they're doing it well? I don't know. I can't, because I am constantly deterred from doing things, and that's their point, right? To deter me from doing things or to stop me from doing things if I start doing things. And so they're having success in one of those areas because I'm not running around committing crimes. Okay.
And crime is down nationwide,
right?
Despite most of the rhetoric, it's not like things are going apeshit.
Right. I mean, there are harsher instances of things going apeshit.
Sure,
right?
absolutely.
There's definitely some protests that
have gone bizarre. Well,
yeah.
I mean, most recently, Berkeley is a perfect example of that. Where essentially they said $100,000 of damage.
Yeah. Right.
But so things are happening. I think there is definitely more unrest happening.
Yes.
But when it comes to just day-to-day crime, in terms of violent crime, there's less of it.
Right. Yeah.
And if you look at any trend, compare us to the mid '80s or the mid '90s.
Yeah.
If you look at take Rochester here, we're here right now.
Mm-hmm.
Homicides in the mid '90s versus today.
Yeah.
It is like
we're way down. Yeah.
We barely hit 40.
Yeah.
There were years in the early '90s, mid '80s where we were in the 80s.
Yeah.
And so in terms of that level of crime, that has shifted.
Right.
And that's a nationwide phenomenon.
Yeah. So, but the question is it due to positive police practices or negative police practices?
Or not due to them at all.
Or not due to them at all.
See, that's one thing that some demographers have posited, that it's a more generational shift.
Right.
In terms of just, it's
yeah, we really like Xbox now. So I'm sorry. I'm too busy. I'm too busy to commit crimes. I have to play For Honor. And there's a plug. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Tell us about For Honor.
Yeah. It's. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and talk about that because they don't pay me to yet.
All right, we'll continue on our more serious.
Yeah, it was just what I was doing before I came out here. So, so what I'm saying is like, yeah, maybe Microsoft and Sony have a huge hand in the lowering crime rate. Maybe just, this generation is a bunch of wusses, and now we just don't want to risk our lives.
Well, I think the controversial Freakonomics answer was abortion.
Legal abortion, yeah. Great book, by the way.
Yeah, I read 2 of them.
Oh, I only read the first.
Yeah, there's Super Freakonomics.
Okay, I'll have to check that out. At my local library, another good thing governments do.
Right. So that's one theory. Another theory, just essentially just where it's not that poverty rates have gone down.
Mm-hmm.
It's just how the amount of services have gone up.
Right. Yeah. Likely to drop a little bit.
Yeah.
Soon.
Probably.
Yeah.
But if you're less worried about food, and there's still a lot of hunger in this country.
Oh yeah.
But if you're less worried about food,
mm-hmm.
you're less likely to go rob that liquor store.
Yes.
And get in a shootout with somebody.
Right. Yeah.
Or feel the need to get a gun.
Yeah. Desperation breeds crime.
Yeah. And I would imagine that would explain some of what you saw over in Afghanistan. Also.
Oh, yes.
It's desperation.
It does like I was saying, somebody kidnaps your family and says, go shoot up this area or we will kill your family. That is desperation. Right? They have instilled desperation in you. And desperation breeds problems. So you want to decrease the amount of desperation overall, and you will have fewer problems in a society, in a culture, in a people.